What is going on, all my fantasy football fans? Welcome to the Fantasy Gods Extra Point podcast. We post this every single week during fantasy football season. It is during the midweek because we talk to you on Sunday. I can't get all my thoughts out on Sunday, baby. There's too much going on. So we want to talk injuries, trade targets, who to trade away, talk about our betting history, which we made a lot of money, people, and then also some prop bets that your boy Big Papi is looking at. Again, my name is Brandon Medina. Welcome to the Fantasy Gods. This will not be a long show. I want this show, Extra Point, to be kind of a quick one, 20 to 30 minutes. You can listen on your drive in to work, on your drive away from work, on your drive home, whatever the case. So let's talk a little bit about fantasy football. What do we see? Week 1. Madness, craziness. People were getting hurt all over the place. People were not producing. You saw a lot of goose eggs for big players. You will not be seeing that moving forward. Something to keep in mind is, of course, week 1 is always ridiculous. But we did see a lot of rookies stand out. We did see a lot of players make a name for themselves on the fantasy football front. So with that, let's talk a little bit about who impressed us and also maybe some targets that you should be trading for in fantasy football. First up, the Falcons backfield. I don't know who predicted this. This is crazy, right? Bijan Robinson, not only the one, Bijan Robinson is kind of the 1A. It's a double-sided horse over there, two-headed horse, with Tyler Algier. He was a massive pickup, one of the most important pickups of the entire week. You also had Puka Nacua. Say it 3 times fast. Puka Nacua over there at the Rams. He is slowly making a name for himself and made an absolute splash in week 1. I do think that's going to be a massive opportunity for him. And then additionally, we had not only Puka, right? We had a few others come out, show out, and really impress. One of those names was Jordan Addison for the Minnesota Vikings, right? Looked really solid. Looked like he was almost already an NFL player for a while. We also saw, of course, my boy Sam Laporta in Detroit. We saw a lot of crazy things. The big takeaway from week 1 was to watch your Achilles, people. Make sure you're doing your stretches in the mornings and at night, especially if you are over the age of 35, over the age of 40. It looks like those things are just snapping all over the place. Aaron Rodgers, unfortunately, after coming out with the American flag, very Hulk Hogan-esque on 9/11, incredible stuff, tears his Achilles and will be out for the season. And then additionally, J.K. Dobbins, who cannot catch a damn break for Baltimore, tears his Achilles as well. Had a really good game, looked really solid. He's gone. Zay Flowers was a name that really impressed. Another name that impressed that unfortunately did get injured as well was Jacoby Myers for Las Vegas. Jacoby Myers, out of nowhere, had one of the best games of the week for wide receivers. Really impressed and looked really solid. However, he is dealing with a concussion. So overall injuries, you got Aaron Rodgers, of course. You also have J.K. Dobbins, like we said. You have Anthony Richardson, who's day-to-day with a knee bruise. He looked incredible at quarterback for the Colts. And then we had Aaron Jones, hamstrings, baby. Death, taxes, and hamstrings in fantasy football, they're going to be there, and unfortunately, they're going to ruin a lot of great fantasy football teams, so definitely watch out for him. Austin Eckler has an ankle injury. Could be missing the second week, guys. Joshua Kelly is a name that you need to be picking up on your waiver wires if he's still there. Joshua Kelly looked really good. Also played a lot of snaps with Eckler, a little bit more late, but played a lot of snaps there for the Chargers. Kenneth Gainwell. I told you guys on the show on Sunday, stay away from every single Eagle. I don't want to play any Eagles. I don't like them, but Kenneth Gainwell looks to miss this week. DeAndre Swift might be a sneaky little flex, something to look at. Evan Hull got hurt. Deontay Johnson, guys, man, rough. Really rough. It looks like the hamstring was pretty bad. He's going to be on IR. Will be missing up to 4 weeks at least. Deontay Johnson is somebody who maybe you took late, had league-winning potential, has been incredible in the past, was looking to have some positive regression because he was not very good last year, and it seemed kind of odd. But unfortunately, he tears his hamstring. He's out. Jacoby Myers, concussion. Greg Dulcich, hamstring strain, out for multiple weeks. I love Greg Dulcich. I have him in every best ball league I could get. And then Pat Freiermuth has a chest contusion. So lots of injuries, unfortunately. However, a lot of great play. Like I said, you got Zay Flowers, who looked really good, Jordan Addison, Anthony Richardson, Travis Etienne. I mean, so many. But when it comes to the fantasy gods, we talk gambling a lot, people. We love gambling. All my degenerates out there, we love to gamble. And the fantasy gods won some money, man. Let me tell you, we went 8-2 with our picks. We missed a prop bet, and unfortunately, we missed the Seahawks bet that we put in the can't miss parlay of the week. Anytime you say can't miss in a parlay, you know what I mean? I mean, the world works in mysterious ways. It is what it is. The universe was not there with us. But we did hit a great parlay with Jacksonville and the 49ers that won about 3 times your money. And then Joe Garcia, guys, our producer Joe Garcia, I told him, what's a bet you want me to lock in for next week to see if it hits? Dallas Cowboys -3. They knocked the brakes off of the New York Giants. Goodness gracious, they looked awful. They beat them 40-0. And then the Green Bay Packers, he chose them to win by money line, and they won, of course. And then New York Jets money line +110. It was a crazy parlay. It was +652. If you put $100 on there, you were coming back with $752. If you put $25, still $162, almost $163. I mean, just crazy money there for Joe's parlay. So that hits. The can't miss parlay, if you didn't like the Seahawks -3, which everybody was on, dude. The Rams suck. I don't know what happened. The Seahawks just sucked worse. But the Seahawks should have won that game. We had to sweat out 2 bets. The Saints win that bet. I chose that one, of course. The Falcons, I chose that one, of course. And the Falcons, listen, those number 1 picks, guys, those number 1 picks now move down to, I believe, 0-13 straight up over the years. And I mean, just have not at all won a game and since being a number 1 pick. And so the Panthers kept that streak going. The Panthers unfortunately lose. Our Falcons bet hits. Our Saints bet hits. The Seahawks one blows the parlay, unfortunately. But we did hit a lot of prop bets. Oh my goodness, we hit some prop bets. We had Nick Chubb over 75.5 rushing yards. That cashes with ease. That one hits, and that was incredible. We also hit on a few other ones. We hit on Joe Burrow's under. Played nasty. That game was disgusting. Cincinnati looked awful. We'll get into that later. But Joe Burrow, that hits the under. Deontay Johnson goes over in our prop bet. And luckily enough, unluckily, he hit the prop before he tore the hamstring. And then we had Nico Collins, my favorite bet of the week that I told you guys. Over 3 receptions. He ends up at 5 or 6, one of the two. And I mean, absolutely smashes that. So great stuff. And I think he beats his parlay bet of his total yards, which was like 40 yards. So, I mean, really, really good stuff overall for prop bets. Go check out Underdog Fantasy or Prize Picks. That's where I do my prop bets. Go check them out. They're great people, great stuff. I think this week is going to be something very similar, guys. We have locked in a few bets already. Let me talk to you about them. We'll get a little bit into them, of course, on Sunday. I'm going to give you a few that I'm looking at right now that could change. I got Christian McCaffrey higher than 73.5 rushing yards. That line has already moved up. It will be only going up more and more. I believe it's at 75.5 right now. I also got TJ Hawkinson at 4.5 receptions for Thursday Night Football. That line has also moved up. Devontae Smith higher than 5 receptions. That line has also moved up. Do you get the picture, guys? Get in early with me. Get in now. Get in soon. I post all my picks on Twitter. Go check them. You don't have to ride and squad ride with me on my bets if you don't think they're right, but maybe pick a few here and there and ride with your friends. Tony Pollard, I picked higher, 70.5 rushing yards against the Jets. The Jets did look really good. I think Dallas could get a lead pretty quickly, especially if they have to play Zach Wilson. And I think Dallas could just run the ball. Tony Pollard looked incredible. I believe he had 70 yards on the dot last week. And then I took Brian Robinson higher than 59.5 rushing yards. The dude almost had 20 carries. Almost 20 carries. I mean, he's going to give us this. I think he hit 59 yards the last game. So I do like that line, 59.5 against Denver, who looked pretty solid defensively, but I still think he can hit that line. And then my favorite one of the week, at least for Thursday Night Football, is going to be Dallas Goedert, higher than 4 receptions. Dallas Goedert. Let me talk to you about Dallas Goedert because he is going to be our first candidate to trade for. So Dallas Goedert, put a big goose egg, didn't look good at all. Just really, really was kind of forgotten about in the Eagles offense. However, the last time Dallas Goedert played and got 0 yards in the game was week 12 of 2021. The next week, he had 6 catches for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dallas Goedert is a trade for candidate. Please take Dallas Goedert. So, my favorite prop so far for the week on Thursday Night Football, like I said, Dallas Goedert higher than 4 catches. And then we also have Javonte Williams. Trade for Javonte Williams. Wow. I mean, tears up his knee, obliterates his knee, still looks very, very good. Love me some Javonte Williams. Go look for him. You can possibly try to get him on the low. I do think he is a trade for target this year and somebody that you can kind of use as a flex option or running back 2 if you really, really need to. I prefer him as a flex, but he could fit in a few different areas. T. Higgins, people. T. Higgins finishes the wide receiver 14 last year. Had a goose egg, 0. I don't know if it was T. Higgins not getting any sort of love from Joe Burrow or Joe Burrow just really feeling the pressure from the defense. Joe Burrow did not look good. The Bengals did not look good. And T. Higgins, unfortunately, also did not look good. But somebody you should absolutely trade for. I have 0 fear to T. Higgins. Find somebody who is 0-1, has T. Higgins, or barely won, is talking trash about T. Higgins in your group chat. Say, hey, I'll take him off your hands, baby. No problem. Give me some T. Higgins. Go find T. Higgins and trade for him. And the other one, you can get him on the low, possibly. He did have a big week. Romeo Doubs. I've been saying this since drafts were going on and getting prepared. I've been saying this since the fantasy gods came back. Romeo Doubs is somebody you need to be targeting. Not only did he have only 4 catches, had 2 touchdowns, very close to the line of scrimmage. Christian Watson was out. That could also play a factor. But I have been saying Romeo Doubs is not a throwaway. He was a throwaway pick, though. You got him in round 13, 14, 15. Some of you got him in the last round. If he's on your waiver wire, which I doubt, go pick him up. But Romeo Doubs needs to be rostered and traded for in your leagues, at least for depth, especially if you're weak at wide receiver and went running back heavy. Those are kind of the 4 guys I'm looking at to trade for. To trade away Antonio Gibson. You almost thought Antonio Gibson was the one that got shot because Antonio Gibson was nowhere to be found. Had an awful game. Did not get involved much. The Commanders and the Cardinals looked like basura. They played like basura. It was awful. It was not fun to watch. And unfortunately, Antonio Gibson just really could not figure it out either and didn't get much of an opportunity either. The other one, opportunity. We love volume. Volume is king in fantasy football. Cam Akers looked really bad, guys. Cam Akers looked really bad. And of course, not only that, guys, he had 22 carries. Guys, what? 22 carries in a game for Cam Akers and the Rams, who upset the Seahawks. They won 30-13. Matthew Stafford went crazy. Didn't even throw a touchdown, but threw for 334 yards. Cam Akers had 22 touches. Kieran Williams had 15 touches, gets 2 touchdowns. Cam Akers has 1 touchdown. That saved the week for you. But he had 22 carries for 29 yards against the Seahawks. That's not going to get it done, Cam. Sorry. So Cam Akers is somebody I'd be looking to move away from. He also had 0 catches. That's what we really were hoping for Cam Akers. And I don't know. It's a week 1. You can choose to kind of give him another week. I'd be looking to move on from Cameron Akers. I called him Cameron, not even Cam. Sorry. And then Michael Thomas is somebody I would be trading away as well. Michael Thomas looked okay, actually, in this game against Tennessee. The Saints did hit an R parlay. Unfortunately, Michael Thomas also hit and took away some targets. He got 5 for 61. Looked really solid. Didn't get a touchdown, but looked really good. Michael Thomas is somebody who's been injury-riddled throughout the past 3 seasons. I would be looking to trade Michael Thomas for anybody who believes he still has that name weight or that name means something to fantasy football players. I would be looking to move away from Michael Thomas. I do think that you have an opportunity, if he's still on waivers, to go get Rashid Shaheed, who could be really, really good. Chris Olave looked like the clear guy. Chris Olave had 10 targets. Michael Thomas had 8. I do think Michael Thomas, barring any injury, can still be okay, but not somebody you're going to want to start in fantasy. So maybe trade him off to somebody in your league who maybe is low at wide receivers or still believes in the Michael Thomas comeback. That could be something to really look at for the Saints. Next up, we have Tyler Algier. I know what you're saying, Brandon, trade Tyler Algier? I just picked him up off of free agency, as you should. Probably the most hyped up waiver wire pickup of the week. Tyler Algier looked awesome. 15 for 75, 2 touchdowns. He out-touched on the ground Bijan Robinson by 5. We've heard the coach. The coach has said, I don't care about your fantasy football rosters. I don't care about your fantasy football games or your players. Tyler Algier had himself a game. Also caught 3 passes for 19 yards. Was incredible. Absolutely. But this might be his ceiling. This is the week to say, dude, look what I got. I got a gold mine, baby. Look at Tyler Algier. Don't you want this? Don't you need this? My Khalil Herbert fans, don't you need this? My Cam Akers boys, don't you need this? And they're going to say, oh my God, I just might need that. Tyler Algier might not get you a trade by himself, but I definitely would package him with another low-end Michael Thomas, something like that, and you could possibly go get yourself a really, really solid wide receiver, maybe even possibly a T. Higgins based off of week 1 if you can find the right person to trade with. And then last but not least, you're going to hate me, guys, and I apologize. I really do. The last person we're going to talk about, and it's unfortunate, it really is Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson was awesome, looked great, had a great rookie year. Garrett Wilson's year will not be taking that absolute next step that we expected because of this Aaron Rodgers news. Now, I'm not going to ever bet my house on it, but I'll bet the water bill, I'll bet the phone bill that Garrett Wilson does not finish higher than some of the guys that you took over him. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb. That's where he was going. He wasn't going because Zach Wilson was his quarterback. He was going because Aaron Rodgers was his quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is out for the season. Garrett Wilson's stock has dropped. He is not only a trade away, he is also a trade for. There are people like me who might be looking to dump off Garrett Wilson. Go ahead and try to see what you can get from him. Try to get him for low and talk him into exactly what I'm telling you. But if you're looking at season long, I don't think Garrett Wilson is going to produce the same amount of level. Is he a top 15 wide receiver? No doubt. But you drafted him to possibly be a top 5. And I don't see that in the realm of possibilities at all anymore, unfortunately. And then the other one I would look at, guys, is Jahmyr Gibbs. Trade for Jahmyr Gibbs. He looked great. He slipped and could have had a touchdown and would have been one of the top running backs on the week. So trade for those guys. Trade away those guys. That's that. My final segment is going to be about waiver wire pickups for the week. Waiver wire. Massive. Week 1 is where you win and lose games. Here's what I'll tell you, guys. Puka Nacua must be rostered. He probably already is. Everybody saw the blow-up game. He will be the guy while Cooper Kupp is out. I do believe that. Van Jefferson has never proven it. Even when he gets the chance, I like Puka Nacua a lot. Sam Laporta, how many times do I gotta say it, guys? Sam Laporta from Detroit, the tight end, basically got drafted and became TJ Hawkinson for Detroit. Sam Laporta, 72% route participation. We want 80%. We surely can see that in the coming weeks. 19% targets per route. Really, really good. He is a high-end tight end 2 with tight end 1 upside. Just have him as your backup at the very least, especially if you have a great tight end. And if you have somebody like a Pat Freiermuth, an Njoku, a Higbee, take him. You might be starting him very, very soon, and I think you should start him in this next game. But Sam Laporta's 5 receptions were the most for a rookie tight end in week 1 since 2019 when TJ Hawkinson had 6. So I do like those guys. Go pick those guys up. Of course, the Algiers, all that stuff. Some last-minute waiver wire pickups that maybe you should be eyeing that I do like as well. Roschon Johnson over there for the Chicago Bears is somebody I do like. I think he can really, really play into a role there. Khalil Herbert is really, really good. I loved Khalil Herbert coming into this fantasy football season, but I do think Khalil Herbert could have been better, and I do think Roshan actually impressed pretty much quite a bit. He had 5 carries for 20, and then you had Khalil Herbert 9 carries for 27. Roshan did get the touchdown, and he caught 6 passes for 35 yards. Do not sleep on that, guys. That is a massive, massive volume. Khalil Herbert caught 3 for 37. Both of them look good, but I will be looking for Roshan Johnson. And Tank Bigsby is somebody else I've been looking at a lot. Etienne is somebody I don't draft. I don't like to draft, and I didn't draft anything of him this year. He looked awesome week 1. I don't trust it. One of my buddies in one of my leagues was like, do you trust him or Josh Jacobs rest of season? I'm all about someone else. I like Josh Jacobs. I'm not trusting Etienne to be a top 5 running back. Top 10? Sure. Top 12? Top 15? Sure. Top 5? I just don't think it's there. I think he's going to be really good, but barring injury, again, he's been injured. We've seen him go out for a season already. Tank Bigsby looks really good and is getting work for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Definitely look at that because that's not something to just overlook. So those are kind of my picks. That's what we're looking at. We gave you props. We gave you some bets. Actually, we haven't gave you bets. Let's give you a few bets right now. So looking at the line for the NFL this week. Week 2 is here. We have Minnesota and Philadelphia taking on each other. I'm never going to bet on Minnesota on prime time, unfortunately. And Philadelphia looks really, really good and has always had our number. But someone I do like, a game I like, is the Colts versus the Texans. That's going to be a really interesting one. The Packers versus the Falcons. Baltimore and Cincinnati, I'm probably going to stay away from. But one that I like a lot too, guys, is going to be the 49ers and the Rams. The Rams are -8 right now. Let's see if that line comes a little bit down. If it does, I'm fine taking the Rams at maybe plus or -6 or something like that. I do like that. Then the other one, Giants and Cardinals, is probably the bet I'm going to be rolling with this week. They are -5.5 against the Cardinals. I'm taking that. I think the Giants come out, smack the Cardinals in the mouth. I do think the Giants are going to be really upset with how they performed. And if you lose twice to New York, one getting blown out to the Dallas Cowboys, and then losing to possibly the worst team in football, New York fans are going to be a little pissed off. You know what I mean? So I think the Giants will be looking to retaliate with that. And then the Dolphins, -3 against the New England Patriots. That's going to be one we're talking about on Sunday for sure for the Fantasy Gods. Thank you for tuning in to Fantasy Gods Extra Point. This is the weekly podcast during the week, coming out usually on Wednesdays to talk about all things waiver wire bets, prop bets, upcoming fantasy football conversations, injuries, and more. We'll see you Sunday. The Fantasy Gods comes live to you every Sunday from 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. before kickoff. Get in your questions on Twitter. Follow me at Big Poppy Brandon M on Twitter. Again, at Big Poppy Brandon M on Twitter. Get your fantasy questions in. Ask your prop bet questions, all that good stuff. And I'll see you on Sunday. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you soon.